everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and get started. We thought it'd be pretty cool to, on the off weeks of the advisor chats we've been doing, to try to do some programming. So James is going to be the first, and then hopefully we think we've got one lined up for the week after next, but we'll let you guys know about that. So James did a version of this session in San Francisco, and a few people reached out to him to share some more information. So we thought this would be a good time for everyone to share anything about being better online. So take it away, James.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Wilson. Some of you are very familiar. I've seen some of your faces throughout the years. I was involved in student media under Kathy Simon back in my college days. Then I worked at U of N for a couple years, went to an agency, did some digital marketing, and now full circle moment, I'm back in student media. So this presentation, I'm actually going to do a deep dive on a lot of technologies that are offered to publishers, specifically news organizations, from a monetization standpoint and from a content dissemination standpoint. Now, I did do this presentation in early March, and since then, so many of the tools and technologies have already changed. Facebook's doing a very large overhaul. So we're just going to kind of take each of the areas that I'm looking to present, and we'll just dive deep into those. Very informal. Feel free to ask questions within the chat, but this is just going to be a kind of open dialogue for all of us. So from a high-level perspective, some of the things we're going to dive into: Facebook Business Manager, Facebook Instant Articles, the Facebook Journalism Project, Facebook for Media, Facebook for Creators, the Brand Collabs Manager, and then we'll also even talk about AMP on Google. So a lot of different tools and technologies. I'm going to overwhelm a lot of you with a lot of different links and different tools. I'm just going to throw all the links into the chat, and you can kind of play along with me. Does that work for all of you? Thumbs up. Some of you have screens, some of you don't, but okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so the very first thing I wanted to talk about is Facebook Business Manager. If you're not on Facebook Business Manager as a student media organization, I would say this should be your first action item as advisors or even students. So for those who don't know what Facebook Business Manager is, it's essentially kind of the business backend tool for all of your pages, ad accounts, your data sets. It actually opens up the door to a lot of other tools and technologies that you don't have access to as just a normal page. So this is what our Wolverine Media Group Business Manager looks like. And again, they're redoing their entire UI and UX, so everything has changed over the past couple of weeks. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of dive deep into some of the things that you can do with Facebook Business Manager that you can't necessarily do on a normal page. So with that being said, one of the biggest, so we have 4 media organizations at U of M. We have a fashion magazine, we have the Michigan Daily, we have the Enzian, which is our yearbook, and we have a humor magazine. A lot of them are starting to want to get into social advertising, and that requires my university credit card, P-card. One thing you can do with Facebook Business Manager is kind of just streamline that payment process when it comes to an ad buy perspective. So if the Michigan Daily wanted to do an ad specifically regarding their email newsletter, they can actually create the ad in the background, and I can actually go in and approve it, and it goes to my credit card. I get the receipt instead of handing students credit card information. So that's with ad accounts. It's something you can do in Facebook Business Manager. Now, one thing a lot of students have been wanting to explore are just social advertising in general. For those of you who don't know, with Facebook Business Manager, you can actually do a lot more in-depth social advertising versus just doing a traditional boost post on your normal page. That's all something you can do in Facebook Business Manager as well. I just did an example of I was able to create an audience data set of all of the University of Michigan seniors. I can even get deep. I was able to find people who graduate in the class of 2020, certain age range. You can do a lot. So, I mean, there's just so much to go over. I'm just gonna, I guess, first action item, I would just look into Facebook Business Manager and get your student media organizations on there if you have not already. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be showing you are connected to Facebook Business Manager, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Facebook Journalism Project, and I'm actually going to figure out how to put that in the chat. There we go. So with the current administration, I mean, journalism is very much being flipped on its head right now in terms of what does journalism mean? What does journalism mean? And Facebook has been taking a pretty big strategic initiative to actually provide tools, technologies, and resources to media organizations, even student media organizations. And with the Facebook Journalism Project, this is essentially kind of a streamlined project that allows Facebook to help publishers really kind of establish credentials when it comes to producing news. I mean, our current administration is constantly telling all of our organizations that we're fake. So I think this is a really unique opportunity for student media to be thought leaders when it comes to journalism, to redefine what that looks like. So with the Facebook Journalism Project, you have so many, I'm just gonna start with some of the programs. They actually do offer a lot of grants. Some of you who are looking for just some monetary support when it comes to establishing kind of what that future of journalism looks like, I highly recommend looking into some of the grants that Facebook offers. They do offer some grants to a lot of universities as well. In terms of tools, I did talk about Facebook Instant Articles, but this is something that Facebook initiated a couple of years ago. Really, one of the goals that Facebook has been trying to do is keep as many people on Facebook as possible. And one project that they launched was Instant Articles. I'm sure some of you have seen what these look like. It's when, if you go through your Facebook feed on a mobile device, you'll see a little lightning bolt next to a news article. That signifies that it's an instant article. And some of the benefits of this, it's a lot faster loading time. You can actually start monetizing it. You can incorporate call to actions like sign up for your newsletter, subscribe, donate, etc., all within the Facebook platform. So this doesn't require much coding to do this for students. However, there is a small coding element when it comes to the beginning, just to make sure that all of your articles on your CMS, whether it be WordPress, Drupal, etc., it's funneled into into the Facebook platform. So if you just Google Facebook Instant Articles, there's like 6 different links in terms of how to get that set up. But we actually incorporated this at U of M when I was doing social media for the university. One of our initiatives were to get some of our large content creators, specifically our arts initiative at U of M, onto this platform. And we noticed a 300% increase in readership. 98% of our acquisition came from Facebook Instant Articles. And we were able to cross-promote other departments and units within the content within ourselves. So we were able to really kind of create a large media organization internally through Facebook technology, specifically Instant Articles. Any questions on Facebook Instant Articles? It's my first time doing a Zoom session, so thanks for being patient with me, everyone. Another tool, groups. So this is something that I have been really actually interested in. One of the biggest things that I've learned in this industry is to streamline. We are constantly saturated with content, whether it be advertising, journalism, commercials, I mean, you name it. It is our job to really kind of be more strategic and thoughtful on the content we put out. Are we putting out value? Are we putting out noise? And one thing I actually like about kind of this initiative that Facebook's been doing, pages versus groups, there's always a tendency to be on every single social media platform. Oh, I got to be on Pinterest, I got to be on Tumblr, I got to be on TikTok, I got to be on Twitter, Facebook, etc. But instead of building bridges and accounts, actually trying to be more strategic on where your audience is. And one thing I like about Facebook groups, I know all of us are familiar with Facebook groups, is a lot of journalism entities, the Boston Globe, for an example, are using groups to dive deeper into their content to engage with their readers. So instead of, I'm going to use the Michigan Daily for an example, that's our student newspaper here at U of M. Instead of having a Facebook page for the Michigan Daily and a Facebook page for the art section and a Facebook page for the sports section and a Facebook page for the opinion section, really turning these pages and putting them into groups that's connected to the central Facebook page instead of having separate entities. And the great thing about groups is it offers a lot more tools that you can do, get your editors and even writers to engage more with your audience. I think groups is actually one of the best content creators within your own organizations would be the sports section, to look into doing maybe a sports fan or sports content type group versus a separate Facebook page. And that way your sports writers can do polls, they can do videos, live streams, etc. And even looking at it from a monetization standpoint, you could do branded content within Facebook groups as well. So just something to think about when it comes to really creating your digital plan, when it comes to just how you're disseminating your news, your content. Instead of creating a separate Facebook page, one thing you can do is Facebook groups. And within the Facebook Journalism Project, they have so many resources on how other news entities are using Facebook groups. So the thing, Catherine asked a question regarding the advantage of Facebook groups. Facebook is actually really shifting, and this is something I know because I'm Facebook certified. They're trying to shift their value proposition to be more community focused and bringing communities together through groups. So what you'll actually start to see is kind of pages still existing, but a lot more effort within Facebook. With Facebook is going to go toward groups. In terms of, and one of the benefits of groups versus pages, you're working with organic content in the Facebook algorithm. When it comes to Facebook pages, you're not necessarily having to tackle that with groups. Everybody who is subscribed to your group is going to see that content if they're signing up for notifications, versus they may happen to come across something in an actual news feed. So does that answer your question, Catherine? Yes, perfect, awesome. So just something to think about. There's a lot of monetization tools that you can put into groups. Just really trying to get out of the mentality that you need to have just a Facebook page. There's a lot of opportunity for your students to explore engaging with readers and disseminating content within groups. Okay. Next we'll go to the Creator Studio. Now this is essentially, so what Facebook is trying to do is really streamline how you're creating all your content and ads. Now this is where it gets kind of confusing because they're let me just show you what my Facebook looks like right now. Has anybody seen, this is what the new Facebook's gonna look like. I'm not sure if, I know it's kind of coming out with some people, but they're really doing a complete overhaul on all aspects of Facebook, whether it be your personal feed and even the back end with Facebook Business Manager. Move this. So this is what the brand collabs manager looks like. Now, in terms of sponsored content, a lot of us, one thing that we're looking for at U of M is the ability to, I'm gonna use an example. Say the Michigan Daily is doing the art section's doing a feature piece on tattoos. One area we could do from a monetization standpoint is finding a tattoo shop to actually sponsor that article or present that article. If you actually go on Hulu, one thing that they're actually experimenting with is sponsored content as well. They'll actually have brands purchase shows and present on the home screen. They'll say like, I'm just gonna use an Schitt's Creek presented by Kmart, just using an example. They just put that Kmart logo. And it's just an easy way for Kmart to provide kind of that brand awareness within Hulu, but also give Hulu some money. So one thing you can do from a student media perspective is really working with your content developers, your writers, figuring out what kind of feature content they're doing and how does that make sense to try to get some other brands to actually buy that content. And you can do that through the brand's collapse manager. Again, this is something through the Facebook Business Manager. What you'll do is say, this is the Enzian, this is our yearbook. Say they're doing a huge feature piece on just tailgating, and maybe we want to get the MDen, which is our big provider of U of M gear. I would find their page. It's going to be there. I would add them, and now what I can do is when I post that, whether it be a video, an article, I can actually tag them, and it'll say presented by or in partnership with the Victor's Collection by the MDen. And this is where, questions, a lot of questions came in. I'll answer these questions in a second, but one of the things you can do is you can experiment with how much you want to charge these brands. That's really up to you and your media kit. And I just got that question, how much do you charge for branded content and how? So one thing that we've been doing, I think a lot of other student media organizations do this, is sponsored tweets, where we just put an ad in a sponsored tweet. We charge $75 for one tweet and $150 for 3 tweets. I think it really depends on how many followers you have and what your engagement looks like. If nobody's really engaging with your page, what is the value of that branded content? Whereas if you're doing getting a lot of engagement, or even actually boosting these posts, you can charge some pretty good money. In terms of what I would charge for branded content, I think if you added a print element and a digital element, you could package that in a nice way. Our writers are doing this piece, you're gonna get X amount of social posts, you're gonna get the presented by sponsorship in our print piece. You could do 500 up to 1,000. It's kind of really just dependent on your own media organization. Do you have a link to the rules regarding sponsored content on Facebook? The Pit News currently only does have sponsored content on Twitter because we haven't been able to find actual rules for posts promoting third parties. Thomas, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Do you mean like what content is, what are you allowed to do, or are you just
we were actually wondering if we've heard before that if you promote a third party using your own page, you can get flagged if it seems like it's ad content. So I didn't know if there were rules. I mean, we've seen other publications do it, but we haven't been able to find anything that actually states like any guidelines. So we haven't done it.
Look into the Brand Collabs Manager and they have resources regarding best practices, and essentially this area prevents that.
Okay, great.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Any questions on Brand Collabs Manager, just sponsored content? I know a lot of student media organizations are exploring this. Our students are actually kind of hesitant when it comes to sponsored content because that's not what journalism is. But I don't see this being a option for breaking news, just because that is the foundation of journalism. But when it comes to a lot of your feature pieces, your art section, you can get pretty creative. They're already writing the content. What does it make sense for a brand to kind of piggyback off that, pay for that content, and present it in a nice package? Thumbs up, feel good about brand collabs? So I showed you I also recommend everybody joining this Facebook group. This is it's a community of just Facebook technology for publishers. So Facebook Journalism Project, there's still more stuff. In-stream ads, that's pretty self-explanatory, all those video ads and everything. Groups video, you got your grants. They also do training. You can actually get your students certified to be Facebook journalists. Highly recommend that as somebody who is, for your students who are looking to really get into the media business. We don't have a journalism department here at U of M, so a lot of our students are very much just majors from all across the university. Only a select few of them are actually really interested in media, in journalism. I'm trying to move this. And they also have a lot of training modules. So that's Facebook Journalism Project. Highly recommend everybody looking into that. The next thing I'm going to show is Facebook for Media. This is where, and I love Facebook, but it also is so complicated in terms of what they offer. They have Facebook Journalism Project, they have Facebook for Media, Facebook for creators, and Facebook for publishers. There's just so many different entities. I can tell it's kind of decentralized. I think one of the big initiatives that Facebook's trying to do is take Google's approach and streamline all of their offerings and just websites and everything. So Facebook for Media offers essentially everything that I'm talking about: how to measure, how to earn money, how to publish your content, success stories, and training. This is another tool and resource that you can send to your students, or you can all look into in terms of expanding your reach and growing your audience. And then you have Facebook for creators. This is more specifically for entertainment content, just because there is some guidelines that you need to fulfill in terms of getting access to this. Some of you may have access to this. if you're producing a lot of video content. But I'm going to use Shea Magazine, which is our fashion magazine. It even gives you other tools that you can look into within the Facebook for Creators Hub. So Shea Magazine, looking at the Creator Studio, which I mentioned before, is essentially a streamlined publishing platform that allows you to create certain ads. I mean, you can look at it right here. Content library, insights, inbox, all of your stuff it's a whole nother Facebook platform. There's a lot out there for students and even media organizations. So I will send that link into the group chat as well. Any questions so far on some of these resources? No? Awesome. Okay. Next thing we'll talk about is the Facebook Pixel. So I talked about this in my CMBAM session. For those of you who don't know what the Facebook Pixel is, it is a line of code that you put onto the back end of your site that's connected to your page. When you go on Amazon and you're searching for a pair of shoes or a TV and you happen to see that same pair of shoes on TV on your Facebook feed through an ad, that's activated through the Facebook Pixel. It allows Facebook to see who is going to your site and allows you to actually do some really fun targeting, retargeting to those audiences. So how could publishers use this? Our sports section is looking to do a sports newsletter. With the Facebook Pixel, it crawls your entire site. I could pull an audience data set for everybody who's just visiting the sports pages, and I can then deliver a call to action to get people's emails through an ad on Facebook directly to that audience. You can do some pretty fun stuff. You can see who your most engaged readers are, people who have spent X amount of time who are visiting every day. You could then put them into a data set and you can target ads regarding those looking for donations or financial support for your organization. One area that the Michigan Daily is looking to do is just expand their reach beyond Michigan. You can create lookalike audiences. You can get pretty in-depth in terms of who you want to target. It's actually kind of creepy. I'll send some more links, but if you don't have a Facebook Pixel on your site, highly recommend it because you can do a lot of really fun stuff. However, if you are going to put a Facebook Pixel on your site, you do need to have a privacy policy. Just letting people know that we are capturing their data to use for marketing efforts. And you can Google, I have an example of a privacy policy. If you want to shoot me an email, I can send it over to you. But you just put this on your policy page. It's a couple paragraphs. How do you then, I have a question from Catherine. How do you then access the data you pull from your website? What do you mean, Catherine? Like where's that dashboard at?
Yeah, so like how does that work? So if I put this link on the dp.com and it's going through and it's keeping track of everybody that visits my site. So let's use your sports example. So anybody that looks at Penn basketball stories, Facebook's going to keep track of those humans.
Yes.
And I'll be able to then log into this, pull. Well, yeah, so I'm wondering, how do you then send an email to them, or how do you?
So that data is you can only use that data for Facebook technologies. You're not pulling data and then having access to everybody's email. What you're doing, we don't have a Facebook Pixel on any of I don't have access to the student's Facebook Pixel, so I can't show you what it looks like on my end.
Okay.
But when you go to your ads manager, within Facebook Business Manager, when you're creating a campaign. So I'm just going to, these are the things you can do when it comes to targeting that audience. So you can't technically pull their emails and do something separate. You can only do ads within this realm, within the audience. So I'm just going to use lead generation for an example.
Okay.
I'm just going to do sports newsletter. We'll just do a lifetime budget of 500. Michigan NC. So with the Facebook Pixel, it's within audiences where you'll be able to do that Facebook pixel. So it would show up right here. So right now, I created this audience right here in the audience version, in the audience tab in Ads Manager. If you have a Facebook pixel, it would show up right here. And you can actually go in and create different audience sets. So you could do everybody who's visited the site, and then you would just label it TMD data. You could do sports people. They would all show up right here. And then you're targeting that audience and then doing the ad.
I see. Oh, and then doing an ad that would be to get subscribers or to get people to donate or something like that.
Yes. Well, and the good thing about the Facebook pixel is these people have already shown an interest in your brand. They've already been to your page. They're already going to your page. So the likelihood of them doing some type of follow-up call to action is very high versus targeting a whole brand new demographic.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So when you're all on Facebook Business Manager, when you create an ad account, it's a step-by-step instructions. They'll give you a line of code. You literally just got to put that line of code into the header of your site. Every developer knows how to do it. It's super easy. Any other questions about the Facebook pixel? Okay. Another kind of tool and technology, this isn't Facebook specific, is if you go on Google, one thing that Google is also doing in combat with Facebook instant articles is Google AMP. And this is just another, I have not explored this tool as much as I would like to, but this is another essentially complete ecosystem when it comes to technologies for publishers. To get your content showing up within the Google feed, I highly recommend looking into AMP, because it's again another line of code that helps you create a separate module within the Google feed to show your content more. Does that make sense? I'm going to send this link as well. Yeah, again, I haven't really used AMP by Google, but this is something I would like to do another deeper dive onto it later. I'm still learning. Google's also completely rechanging their entire ecosystem and structure. If you even look on just like a mobile device on Google, just like the actual Google app, you'll start to see different cards and different features pop up. They're working on expanding capabilities for publishers specifically when it comes to getting your content onto the Google feed. So, I mean, if I were to search like coronavirus in Ann Arbor right now on Google, the Michigan Daily may show up with some of its articles, but really investing in kind of the digital ecosystem will allow your content to be shared and even seen more. So that is AMP on Google. Yes. Any other questions so far? I'm kind of just going through a lot of different stuff to give you all different resources. Awesome. I mentioned the Creative Hub before. Again, this is something that's in Facebook Business Manager. This allows, full load. This allows your students to essentially create mock-ups of all of the technology that Facebook offers. One thing that I've seen with our students is they're always looking to find ways to kind of elevate feature stories or content in a visual way. And they're kind of limited on doing that with their website just because there's either a third-party provider or they just don't have the, what's the word I'm looking for, skill set to be able to do some more robust stuff. So one thing that they can do is a Facebook Canvas. And this is something you don't have to pay for. It's an organic approach. It allows your writers to come in and create this beautiful imagery and immersive experience when it comes to storytelling. It's just called Facebook Canvas. I'll send this in the chat as well. But I know that's one thing that publishers have been, I've seen a lot of students want to do is just more robust visual content like this. The great thing about Facebook Canvas is you have full control of all the content that goes in Facebook Canvas. You could easily throw an ad in there, or you could throw some branded content, or you could put a little image of another brand and charge them an X amount. There's a lot of different unique ways to disseminate your content on Facebook. I think it's just a matter of figuring out which tools work best for your own media organizations and then just doing a kick-ass job with it. Here's some other examples of Facebook Canvas. This was a Coca-Cola one. Again, you don't have to pay for this. Everybody has access to do this. And then the thing about Facebook Canvas, you could always go to the bottom. You can put CDAs like visit our website to get people to still go to the website. You can't really do this on a CMS like WordPress. You could, it just would be a lot harder. Facebook creates the technology for you to do that seamlessly. Another example for you all. This one's just simple images. I mean, you can do a lot of really fun, robust stuff. And that's Facebook Canvas. I'm also going to throw this link in there. Again, this is another tool like Facebook for Business. They just have so many different types of hubs for media, business, you name it. Something to also look into. Okay. Now, I kind of just at a high level, I just threw all the links. Is there anything anybody wants me to dive deeper into or has any questions regarding some of the technologies that I offered?
Would you be willing to show us how to build an audience? Like, can you show us how you found all of your seniors? I mean, I know that's kind of basic, and I've done some audience, some of that specific stuff, but that's a super targeted group. So I'd be curious to know how you built that.
Yeah. So I am going to go to audiences within the Facebook Business Manager. Let's actually use so I forgot who asked the question. This is where your Facebook pixel would come from. You would click on this. I don't have a Facebook pixel, but here's all the instructions, and then you would just do that. But that's what I wanted. Is change it to save audience. Let's do, I'm just gonna do University of Michigan. So this is, so we can assume that seniors are not gonna, they're gonna be between maybe 20 and 25. Let's just do that. I want specifically those who live in Ann Arbor, maybe within like a 10-mile radius. No, we'll do a 20-mile radius. So now this is where sorry, my computer's freezing. So now, right now I'm targeting anybody between the age of 20 to 25 who actually we'll just do people live, this is everybody within this location at a 20-mile radius who study at the University of Michigan. Now, within education, there is a education undergrad years, that's what I wanted. I know there's a You can dive deep in terms of graduation year. I'm just not quite sure where it's at right now. But that would all be in the detailed targeting right here. I mean, you can even go into like people who have kids. I mean, Facebook has so much data on all of us. You can really target anybody you want. If I wanted to target single mothers who make more than $100,000, I could probably do that. If I wanted to target certain people on a 5-block radius who have visited a certain grocery store within the past 5 days, I could do that, all within detailed targeting. Within this, there are literally hundreds of thousands of different modules you can choose from. It's just a matter of figuring out who you want to target. I know that's not, I couldn't show you exactly because I'm not sure where it's at, but that's okay.
I'm just curious though, so do you build all of your audiences in the Business Manager versus when you're posting? Like, so we do a lot of posts, a lot of like sponsored posts on our site, and we get some boosted posts on occasion.
Yep.
And then normally, you know, I do the like I put up the ad and then I target like I boost the post from there and then target the audience.
Yep.
But would you suggest building them here first?
Yes. This is just a nice streamlined, like I could build so many audiences here. I could put all of my pixel audiences in here. This is just based on Facebook data. You can even import your own email subscribers in here. I would highly recommend, streamlining all of your audiences within the audience module in the Facebook Business Manager.
Okay.
Anything else anybody wanting me to dive into, provide some more insight on?
Sorry, can I ask one more question?
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
A little off topic, but with the instant articles or with some of the branded content, I'm just curious how much of that you guys actually do and what pushback at all you get from editorial, or is your team sort of on board with the fact that they'll okay to make money any way you can?
It's a very hard question just because our media, I'm in a really interesting position just from my own, just me being at U of M. We are completely student run. I mean, these students are managing their own like $300,000 budgets. Everything is completely student run. So we are they're very traditional in their way. And this whole Wolverine Media Group initiative, we're trying to trying to educate our students the potential that they have. I mean, we're sitting on a $7.5 million endowment, which we're fortunate to have that some universities don't. We're actually a little behind when it comes to kind of the innovation, just because we're so rooted in traditional mentalities. All of this, the students are starting to realize what they can do. It's just a matter of really pushing them to do it. I've had, on the business side, the students love this. I mean, they're very data driven. They're always wanting to improve. But one thing that we're struggling with our editorial side is they're very rooted on just that social environment. There's no accountability to really push them to think strategically and more innovatively because they don't have that, I guess, kind of accountability behind them, pushing them, if that makes sense. They don't have any advisor. Whereas I know a lot of other student media organizations have a content advisor. We just have me that handles the business and marketing side, and then Kathy, who's actually just the general manager of the building. But I think the thing I love about Facebook technology for publishers, it is probably the best way to bring your editorial and your business teams together to think about how you can, one, better your content, how to better disseminate your content, and then how to actually just monetize that content. I think there's always just lots of conversations, like make more money off your content, or we're not doing that. Whereas this kind of really helps create a framework that brings the two sides together to really think strategically on that. Did that answer your question? I don't know if that answered your question.
It did.
I haven't got pushback on our end. I think it's just a matter of really helping the student. I mean, one thing I'm noticing, students are just super saturated with just classes and everything. And instead of, one of my favorite philosophies is I'd rather have 4 quarters and 100 pennies. there's always it goes back to my thing that we're so saturated with content. Is your editorial staff producing quarter content, or are they producing penny content? And if they're producing penny content, what can you cut or streamline to help them produce quarter content? And then if you're looking at those 4 quarters, it's a weird analogy, so I apologize. Everybody can get on board with those 4 quarters versus everybody Frankensteined with all these different types of outlets, projects, avenues with the pennies. Really weird analogy, but I hope that made sense.
No, for sure.
Okay, well, that's actually all I had for a content perspective, Facebook technology for publishers. I guess I was going to leave the next couple minutes or whatever. Any questions? I can always put all these resources into a Google Doc and just share it with the CMBAM board, but it is a little overwhelming. I'm kind of overwhelmed because so much has changed since I even just presented this last month, and it's just going to constantly keep evolving. But I think now more than ever, I think student media has a very unique opportunity to reevaluate what journalism looks like, what a monetization standpoint looks like from media, and we all have the tools, resources, and capability to do that. And I hope this helps all of you.
Awesome. Thank you, James. We are going to have the advisors happy hour next Thursday at 3 o'clock Central. If you guys want to come, and if you have any topics in mind, just email those to me. I'll send reminders. Nate will also be sending out another email soliciting committee members for all the different committees we have run by the CMBAM board. So look out for that if you want to join a committee. And then again, we're working on a session on a specific topic with a presenter for the week after that, and we'll let you guys know what that is. And that's all.
Oh, thank you.
One thing I do want to add. So one thing that I'm trying to work on at U of M is really establishing an experiential learning curriculum, especially for our business and marketing side. I just learned that HubSpot offers a educational partner program. They actually just awarded it to us, and they just awarded the $60,000 software every year for free for 5 years to our entire organization. Just something to throw out there. It's a very easy application process. You just kind of provide just that insight in terms of this is an educational learning environment, and they give you the entire suite of software for free.
James, can you throw that in the CMBAM listserv? Throw that information in there for everybody?
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Highly recommend it because I'm still diving deep into HubSpot. It's a very robust CRM, but they have some amazing just social media modules. They have an email marketing module. They have a design module, web module. It's pretty nice, and the students love it because it's very easy to use. And it might help motivate. I mean, the reason why I invested in terms of trying to get it is our students want the best and the shiniest objects when it comes to producing work. And this is kind of motivating them to think bigger in terms of the longevity of our organization. So I will put that into the CMBAM listserv group.
Cool. Thank you, James. That was very helpful.
No, it was nice seeing you all again, though, but I'm hoping everybody's hanging in there.
Yeah. And we hope to see you guys 1 week from today. See ya.